We want to be their ultimate tour guide. We want to reduce stress as much as possible for them so that they feel a sense of safety and certainty. And when we can create those emotions at the beginning of a home tour, and they know, I got this, I've anticipated all of the things that are going to happen throughout the day, they can relax. And when we have a buyer that's in that kind of a state, they're positioned to make decisions.
Welcome to the Raquel Show. This show is for entrepreneurs who want to play bigger in business and in life. And today I have a very special guest who I actually got to know about through our mentor that we both share and who happens to also be the president of Reel. And I've met her at events. And what I love about the person that you're going to listen to today is we have this big shakeup in our industry where everyone's talking about these buyer consultations, buyer commissions. And this woman, before all this even happened, had a process, had systems down when it came to the buyer presentation. So we're going to talk all about that with my guest today. And I want to welcome to the show, Christine Smith.
Thank you, Raquel. It's such a pleasure being here. I'm just honored that you invited me to be on here and to just share on this topic.
It's taken us a while because this woman's really busy. And so I'm so glad. And it's such perfect timing for her to come on this show. So it always works out. So we're going to dive right into it. And you have actually nailed down, like I mentioned in our intro, the process of the buying consultation, how to handle buyers, how to work with buyers and systems. So when it comes to dealing with buyers, and you also teach classes with all the changes that are going on, how important is it for an agent to be so up to date and nail down their buyer system and process?
I think it's more important now than ever. I don't think that we can sweep this under the rug any longer. I really think that we need to be taking this just as serious as we have taken developing a dialed out listing process, having a dialed out listing presentation, and really like a process from everything start to finish, and even the afterlife of what happens with the client once the transaction is completely closed. I think there's going to be a lot of interesting things happen. While in the Facebook feeds, we see the majority of the real estate community freaking out a little bit. I also think that there's a strong, silent, and confident crowd who's been operating in much of this way for a really long time. And it's go time. It's go time for those agents. And I think that those types of agents are going to be super innovative. And my hope is that those agents are going to help rise the tide and help everybody out through this transition.
Yeah, I always say that when there are changes, there are people that will shy away from changes and will take time to adopt those changes. But there's also massive opportunities. And like you said, for the ones that are willing or that have always been operating, we see like massive opportunity in this next shift of all the changes that are coming down. So what do you think if we were just to talk? And I love that you also brought up the fact that it doesn't stop when you close the transaction. It's what happens after. And I think too often in our industry, and I've been in this for over 2 decades, is we sometimes forget about the client as soon as we get that commission check. Right. And so what do you think? Let's start from the beginning is what do you think that every buyer consultation should have when they are doing it with first time buyer, a move up buyer, an investor? I mean, there's different types of buyers that we deal with in our industry.
So I think the very first thing that an agent needs to really embody and take that into every conversation, every consultation they have with a buyer client is a winning mindset, a winner's mindset. And I think that's going to be like the key thing that makes or breaks somebody right now. It doesn't matter what your PowerPoint presentation looks like. Yes, there are some key fundamental things I think that you should have in there. But I think the number one thing that's going to be an incubator, if you will, your best insurance policy is just commit to a winner's mindset. But if we're really talking about the fundamental stuff, like what should your flow be policy wise, like what do you need to make sure is in your buyer presentation? I think first and foremost, you need to attack a buyer consultation like that's already your client. And you're just laying out a roadmap to give them clarity on what it's like to work with you. You're just giving them clarity on what your process, what your system, what your magic looks like. Because we all have magic inside of us. We're all great buyer agents, right? And we know this, but we have to articulate our magic. And I know the word value has been overused. And while that word is really important, I kind of like latching onto the word magic a little bit more because each of us takes our buyer clients through this experience, through this journey in a very different way. And I think we just need to take a step back and really document, really optimize things that work really well in that process, and also recognize at the same time some of the things that we need to level up on a little bit.
Yeah.
But happy to get into some of the
Yeah, let's
tactical
get
type
into
things.
it. Yeah. I love all the tactical things.
You're a tactical girl. Awesome.
Yeah.
So when I think that buyer consultation happens before we get on Zoom, before we sit down in the conference room, really setting the stage in your initial discovery call, what's going to happen in the buyer consultation, really setting the stage, framing this experience that they're about to have with you, that you are going to be asking for their business. You are going to be asking them for a relationship in a professional way.
Mhm.
And one way that I may go about that is, hey, Raquel, during our buyer consultation, we are going to dial out what it really looks like to be a home buyer in 2024. I know this isn't your first rodeo. You've bought a home a time or two, but it has been a while. Things have changed. And I want you to have total transparency and clarity on what the challenges and opportunities are in today's market. In the consultation that we have, I'm going to design your home search. We're going to get super clear on the whole financial stuff. And then when we're done, we will develop a strategy that is very specific to you. And you're going to decide if I'm the right agent to help you through this very important process. Right? So by the time we even get on the consult, we've already framed like what they can expect. Like we've painted a super colorful picture and they should be excited. And when we paint that colorful picture, we also increase our show up rate, right? We
Yeah.
also increase the chances of the spouse making it to the call, right? Because we have just been very visual and descriptive about what we're going to do with their time.
Yeah. You bring up a good point because oftentimes agents are very hesitant to actually take the time up front. And so you see them answering questions when it could have been all solved with set expectations, setting the stage, like you said. And so, how do you get the significant other or the parents or whoever's involved in the consultation to come on that call, whether it's in person? Do you do yours in person or on Zoom or at a coffee shop? What does that look like?
Most of our buyer consultations are happening Zoom nowadays, thanks to COVID, right? Prior to that, we were doing a lot of coffee shop consults, which I'm not a huge fan of, but I feel as, and I'm really trying to use this word thriving buyer agent. There's the buyer agent of the past, and then there's the buyer agent of the present and the future. And the thriving buyer agent is always going to be super mindful of creating the best experience for the client. And a good experience is going to allow them to be able to make decisions confidently and that they feel really good about. Coffee shop consults are so noisy. People are everywhere. It's very distraction, but a really great buyer agent will be able to flex in that type of an atmosphere. we just do a lot of Zoom stuff and it works well for us.
Yeah.
And people can be PJs at home on their time, saves me an hour having to drive somewhere. So I'm able to get a lot more efficiency out of my day by first pitching this via Zoom. And I think as a skill set that we all need to develop as buyer agents is we really need to level up our presentation skills because you have to exude like 3 to 4 times the amount of energy when you're on Zoom than you do when you're in person. And you have to be a little bit differently aware of your body language, right? And how that lands with them on the other side.
Yeah.
So Zoom for so many reasons. And I don't know about you, but I think that maybe just the can of worms has just barely opened with the DOJ. And I think they're not done harvesting the mind, if you will.
Right.
And if you have a Zoom console, that's a recorded asset that you have of how you explained things work, what they can expect from this process, all of the transparency items that you're going over with them. And I would venture to say that would hold up really well in court if we ever come
Something
into a
happened.
situation.
Yeah. I know a lot of agents that listen to our show as well as watch this on YouTube. And I know some of them are probably wondering, Christine, tell me what's the magic script for me to be able to record our consultation?
Getting permission
Yes.
for the consultation to be recorded, I actually just hit the button record. And when they log in, it announces out loud recording in progress. And if they have a problem with that, they're not going to hit the accept button.
Got it. Got it. Yeah. Simple enough, right? I think sometimes we make it too complicated. So, what are some of the things that agents can do today to stand out from the competition when it comes to the thriving buyer's agent?
Standing out from the competition, I think we just really have to take inventory on how we're showing up for buyers. I think even the most seasoned of agents, I think we really need to take inventory on what true buyer representation actually means. Almost, I polled our group in Real a while back, and I was just curious how many people had been in the business post COVID and pre COVID.
Mhm.
And it was something like 40% of the agents who responded to the poll got in like during COVID. So they didn't know life as a real estate agent pre COVID. They only knew the fast paced, raise your hand, let's go look at a home, we'll write an offer on the hood of the car kind of a thing.
Mhm.
So I think that our agent community, you and I have had the blessing, right? We have been so fortunate to be exposed to great minds in the industry, and we've been taught how to think about things in a very positive way. I think that agents that are struggling with this, even that have had their license for a very long time, just need to commit to having a winner's mindset and just need to learn how to think about this a little bit differently.
Yeah. So let's say the consultation is done because it's not over there, right? You're constantly winning the buyer over through this whole process and even after, especially if you want them to be raving fans. And I think that is the longevity of people's business when you can actually have repeat clients and you're handling a lot of their friends and family. There's so much trust in them with you when it comes to buying their largest asset, which is real
Mhm.
estate. So you have a class on ultimate home tour experience. What makes that different? What is this ultimate home tour experience?
The ultimate home tour experience. It's so interesting that you bring that up. My Convert with Christine Fall series that I just launched. That one is maybe the second to third, almost one of the last ones. And some people that have seen the full agenda have been like so curious about that. So maybe I should move that up a little bit. But the ultimate home tour experience, we should be creating experiences for our clients, right? If you have worked with even one buyer, you know that a huge portion of our job is managing their emotions, managing their state at every single stage of the process.
Mm-hmm.
And their buyers are not linear. They loop-de-loop, twist and twine, they regress and progress. And we have to be emotionally intelligent. We have to be super aware of the emotions at all times. So creating the ultimate home tour experience really is just all about keeping them in a good state so that they're in a position to make great decisions that they feel comfortable with. For starters, we're very committed to how we send a route to a client. We want there to be a map. We want every single address to be plotted out. We have a list of all of the homes in an email. Every address has a clickable link to like a Zillow page or a details page on our website, because we know as we're viewing property after property, people want to look ahead. They want to say, oh, yeah, which home are we going to? And when we do that, sometimes we can just eliminate stuff and not show it at all. Because once people start to get into the experience, it becomes very clear to them what's going to work. Before we show a home, and we do prep them, wear some walking shoes, eat a good breakfast. We prep them like they're going to have a day at Disney, right? Mm-hmm. We want to be their ultimate tour guide. We want to reduce stress as much as possible for them so that they feel a sense of safety and certainty. And when we can create those emotions at the beginning of a home tour, and they know, I got this, I've anticipated all of the things that are going to happen throughout the day, they can relax. And when we have a buyer that's in that kind of a state, they're positioned to make decisions. So morning of, and that you have to make sure that you're an early bird. Don't be the agent who gives yourself just enough time to get to the property, right? Be early. We always text our client and we tell them, hey, we are stopping at Starbucks. What can I get you? Not can I get you anything? What can I get you? People love this so much. I will go out of my way to stop at a Starbucks because this is just one of those little things that puts a little bow and starts the day off really good and on the right foot. We're always packing snacks. We're always packing waters. People can't make good decisions if they're hangry, right? And if we have a day full of showings where we're showing like 10 homes and it's 5 to 6 hours that we might be spending with somebody, which is very typical with a relo client, we will plan potty breaks. We will plan a lunch in between for them to have some downtime. Yeah. It's really hard to know if somebody needs multiple breaks, and it's better to over plan so that they can reserve their energy than just to burn all of their energy in one day. Because if we can help them manage their energy, they're going to be able to make good decisions.
Yeah.
Which means they're more in a position to write an offer.
Yes, I love that. I love that. And I do believe that is all about experience. I know we teach our clients and our mastermind members that we have defining moments, even in the transaction, of where we wow the client with a special experience, with wrapping it with a bow, right? Because there are so many emotions that get tied into. And especially now when they can see things on social, they have all this noise from friends, family and fear of, are they making the right decision even after the contract has been accepted? Do you think we've heard this thing, do you think agents will go away with some of the changes that's happening in our industry?
That is an interesting question. And Raquel, I really hope not. I do believe that if an agent is in the right ecosystem, that any agent can thrive in any market. You just have to put yourself in the right ecosystem.
Right.
And to put yourself in the right ecosystem, you first have to commit to getting into a winner's mindset, right? Yeah. And seeking out those people. And much of that might mean leaving your ego at the door, leaving your 30-year tenure of having a real estate license at the door and finding community that is comfortable with this, that has a track record of success, that's willing to lift you up, right?
Yeah.
So I hope we don't have a mass exodus, but I do think that people really need to take a look at what it means to be a buyer in today's market and make an honest gut check decision if they're cut out for the job.
Yeah. You have shared so much with us. And like you said, take away how we've always done business. It might have to adjust and shift today. If you had to start over, knowing what you know today and knowing that you have a process and a system in place, what would be like 3 things you would give our audience advice today on the things that they should have in their toolbox? They absolutely should have moving forward as we get into servicing the client at such a high level.
So I relocated from Arizona in 2019 to Florida, and I was really excited to work this huge market. In hindsight, I would have dedicated myself to a much smaller geographical space. Our number one job as a real estate agent should be to learn the product. Homes and communities are our product. And when we work such a wide area, I think that it's almost impossible to be an area expert on everything. So go deep. That would be my first thing. Go deep and become a true area expert. You have to have area expertise. Every buyer, that's the number one thing that they're hiring for is area expertise.
Right.
The second thing I think I would encourage people to have is having a true buyer consultation. I think that when that is the core and you have that dialed in, that will give you confidence to continue building in other areas. So get in the ecosystem of a few different people that are doing this well. If you don't have a buyer consultation, like start looking at buyer consultations and see what feels good for you and start implementing something.
Mm-hmm.
That everybody's looking for the perfect buyer consultation, right? But at least half of the buyer consultation is you. Like you are the buyer consultation.
Yes.
It's your expertise, it's your confidence.
Right.
So a third thing that if I had to do this all over again, what would I do? I would say the third thing is if you're a forever agent like me, right? I don't see myself making a career change. Real estate is it, baby.
Mm-hmm.
I would say mindful of when times are really good and don't let off of your tried and true processes and systems because when markets shift, sometimes it's really hard to get back on track.
Yeah.
And we're really lucky right now that all of these changes are rolling out when the market is a little bit slow and while buyers have the upper hand and some leverage in the market. If this would have happened, Raquel, in like 2020, 2021, it would have been, oh my gosh.
A disaster.
I do think we would definitely have a mass exodus of the industry.
Yeah.
For sure.
I 100% agree with you. And I'm just curious, you've been in the industry for quite some time. How many buyer consultations have you actually done? Right? Just to give people like, you can never do it too many times. And every time you do it, you learn something different.
You do? Yeah.
So there isn't a
Oh my God.
perfect consultation. How many do you think, if you were to guess?
I don't know, over 1,000, I would say.
Yeah.
Many buyer
And,
consultations. And
as
not
you were,
only client
go
to
ahead.
client, but how many consultations are we practicing team member to team member in our office? That's where we should start. And every buyer consultation that we do, there is no one buyer consultation that is exactly the same for every single client. We have a few different things that we pull in after we have that really great discovery call with a potential client. So we can make sure we're hitting a home run and we're really building the right game plan out for them.
Yeah. So good. You talked about team members and you run a thriving micro team model. I'd love to hear more about that. And you run it in Orlando. So I'd love to hear what is considered a micro team and what do you think makes like a micro team successful?
Sure. So my team, we service the greater Orlando area and the Space Coast. We do a lot of new construction with buyers. I would say the last couple of years, about 80% plus of all of our buyer representation has been on a new construction deal. Much of that started just because there was no inventory when I entered this market, and new construction was an obvious choice. But a micro team, so I used to co-lead a mega team, right? Upwards of 40 agents, 300 transactions a year. And I just learned a lot about myself that I'm not really mega team leader material, right? At some point, you wake up and you realize you're not really in real estate, you're more in the people development, people management business. And for some people, that's okay. There are many different models for many different leadership styles. And I have coached with Eric Hatch up in Fargo, North Dakota. And he is one of the few people that run a true showing partner model. And he calls that, as you start building out into a team, a micro team. My good friends Rachel and Mike Novak up in Washington, they have ran the micro team model for a long time. And really, a micro team model is you, the team leader, the team owner. You're not looking to get out of production. You're looking to maximize your profit on production by leveraging other people. And you have more of a SEAL teams type model where people have more of a specialized role. And I have found that it allows me to go really deep with fewer people. And my capacity goes a lot further when I don't have 30 people to manage and it's like a revolving door, right? People are here for the right reasons and for my core values. And it allows the people on my team to come in as more of an apprenticeship type position. And when people come in for that, their learning curve accelerates so fast. These types of people end up becoming better real estate agents than your traditional agent who joins a team on the typical like 50-50 split. That's the experience that I've had with the micro team model.
Yeah, I love it. And how many people are on your team today when you guys consider, because you said 30 is like mega, right? What is it micro? Is that 3, 4, 5, 10?
So most people consider micro less than 10. And the model being is that there are one or multiple showing partners. I don't really like that word. I use agent partners. And we describe that relationship as I'm the doctor and they're the nurse. My agent partner is more so out in the field showing properties. I'm upfront in the process developing strategy. And when comes time to negotiate, I'm jumping back in and negotiating and then introducing them from the contract to close team and process.
Yeah.
So we will continue to grow, and most micro teams continue to grow with multiple showing partners or agent partners. I'm not interested. It would really have to be like the special kind of a person doing that 50-50 type split. But the other type of person, and I have 2 team members on my team currently who are on this kind of a thing, is their real estate can be a lonely business. And these are what I would call SOI agents. They're not looking to me to bring them every lead and every appointment. These are sharks and they're willing to go out and hunt their own food. But they like to plug into my culture. They like to plug into my systems, my process, my leadership. And I enjoy doing business with these agents so much because it feels more like a sisterhood, right? And I made a rule for myself a really long time ago when I decided to identify the things that I didn't like in my old world of leadership and what type of new leader I was going to be. And the rule that I made was I'm not going to have a business model that allows me to be resentful with the people that are on my team.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, the micro team model accomplishes that.
Love it. So we've talked about buyers, the experience of the consultation, the journey, the customer journey of a buyer client. We've talked about micro teams. What's next for Christine? What are you most excited about that you're working on?
I got into real estate converting online leads, which, as you know, Raquel, is a very exhausting lead gen model. I'm most excited for transition right now of leaving that type of a lead gen source and transitioning to more of an attraction based buyer. So we're really leaning into a home tour model. Raj Sahu, I went to Rev B in Houston not too long ago, and I was blown away by his presentation. And I said, we have to do that. That is where we're going to flip the script. There's a lot of upfront investment to do that, right? We are literally going to catalog every single new construction home floor plan that exists in our market. We do actually sit a lot of open houses for the builders. We've developed those relationships. So I have created a brand in one of the mini markets, and it's called Palm Bay Home Tours. That will be our YouTube brand, as well as a brand that's on our open house signs. And that, like those two things coupled together, I think are going to work really well on flipping the script for attraction-based buyer business. And that's going to be the new way that we grow team members. Team members are going to come in and they're going to learn just how to work one lead source. They're going to knock it out of the park by sitting open houses.
I love it.
And we should be able to build a massive brand. And I really feel like we should have a lot more joy in our life. Not that we don't have joy, but I think things will be easier.
Yeah. Now I have to ask, just because I was at that same event, do you do the Trello buyer boards as well?
Oh we're so close. We're so close.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait to see it.
I cannot.
I thought it was like, because we use Trello all the time. So we use it for all of our events. We use it even in our pending. When I ran expansion doing over 1,000 transactions, we use Trello. So like when he had shown that, I was like, oh my gosh. And it's so easy to use and people can download the app. So I was excited for that.
Absolutely. And being able to dangle the carrot and show somebody that Trello buyer board for just a few minutes is the ultimate leverage that you need to get that buyer broker agreement signed.
Yes. Yes. It's always, our mentor says, when you can have an artifact to show, it really connects the relationship between you and a stranger. Right. And as we wrap up, there is always one question that I ask every person on the show that comes on the show is, what does Christine do to either play bigger in business or in life?
We just have to ask for what we want. And as of recently, I've been doing a lot more of that, is being more bold and just ask the people that can help you what you're trying to accomplish and if they can help you get there. And I think if we just ask for more of what we want, we'll get more agreements signed. We'll get more opportunities that we want to have, right? And I think life will just be a little bit more fulfilling. It's a brave thing to do. And I think people like you and I that try to do it all on our own, sometimes it doesn't come easy, but that's me playing bigger right now.
I love it. Christine, I want to say thank you so much for being on our show. I'm so glad you came on our show. It's been a while, and I'm glad that I know that these people that are listening to our podcast today may rewind, because you brought so much knowledge, so much value to our audience and our community today. I want to keep supporting you in all the things that you do and supporting you in playing bigger, my friend.
Thank you, Raquel.
Thank you.